Generator. Caution.
Welcome to this lesson, where we begin in the warm-up area just short of the active runway, and will perform a conventional takeoff and basic handling drills. Interestingly, conventional takeoffs, or CTOs, aren't the default type of takeoff, although they are the easiest to perform. The Harrier was designed from the ground up as a VTOL aircraft, and as such, CTOs tend only to be used when asymmetric loadings or high crosswinds preclude the use of any other type of takeoff. In this mission, we will practice without any asymmetry or crosswinds for training purposes, but you should train with various configurations and weather conditions to become proficient when it counts. We will begin with pre-positioning and takeoff checks. Pre-positioning checks are performed in accordance with the mnemonic C waiver, which stands for clock, weapons, avionics, IFF, video recording system, electronic countermeasures, and radar altimeter. First, set the clock by pressing the timer or TMR button on the UFC. Select TTT with ODU2 and then press ODU1 and verify that the clock shows 8 AM. Next, press ODU5 and check that the UTC time shows 4 AM. Verify that this is the same as the time shown in the cockpit watch and on the HUD. At this point, you could also set the desired time on target, but we don't need to do it for this sortie. Next, you would program your weapons via the UFC Weapons or WPN button and ODU. Since we aren't carrying weapons for this familiarization flight, we'll skip this step. It will be explained with greater detail in Stores Management training mission. Configure your avionics for the sortie. On the right MPCD, return to the menu on push button 18, press T-Pod on push button 13, and verify that the standby mode is underlined on push button 15. Set your FLIR by pressing menu, push button 18, and then FLIR, push button 1. Set the mode back to black or white by pressing push button 20. Set up your TACAN by pressing the TCN button. Enter 6-7 on your scratch pad for Kabaletti and press enter. Next, turn it on by pressing the on-off button. You will notice a small TACAN symbol appearing next to your aircraft on the left MPCD. Set up your video recording system by setting your VRS and MFCD/HUD switches as desired. Next, you would set your electronic countermeasure switches by performing a bid and monitoring for failures. This isn't necessary on our fan flight, so we'll skip it. Finally, set your radar altimeter low altitude warning to 4,900 feet. First, press Alt button on your UFC. Next, colonize GPS with ODU button 3 and check that the Ground Proximity Warning System, or GPWS, is colonized. Type 4900 and press enter. You may leave bomb and pull-up queue, or PUC, uncolonized, as we will not be employing ordnance. Confirm that your canopy is locked and that your canopy close light is extinguished. Make sure that the ejection seat is armed by checking that the ground safety control handle on the right side of the seat is closed and pointing down. Recheck that your standby instruments match. In instrument meteorological conditions, or IMC, or at night, we would turn on the APU. Since it's clear and unlimited, we'll leave this off. Ensure the anti-skid switch is in the on position. Next, we will check our abort numbers for the field we're on. On the right MPCD, select Menu on push button 18, select VREST on push button 8, and box Short Takeoff. On the ODU, select Field Data, or FDAT, with ODU button 4, colonize runway distance, or RDIS, with ODU button 1, and input a runway length of 7870 feet into the scratch pad, confirming your entry with the Enter button on the UFC. The length is the distance between the start of your takeoff roll and the long field arresting gear if installed. Colonize runway heading, or RHDG, with ODU button 2, enter a runway heading of 244 degrees magnetic, and confirm your entry with the Enter button on the UFC. Colonize ground wind, or GWND, with ODU button 3, enter a ground wind direction of 238 degrees magnetic and a magnitude of 02 knots, and confirm your entries with the Enter button on the UFC. Verify that dry runway, or RDRY, is colonized in ODU window 5, as we are experiencing dry runway conditions. If it isn't, press the button. Calculate your abort criteria by pressing the abort button on push button 16 on your VRES stow page. Your abort speed, or ASPD, and stopping distance, SDST, values will be displayed. We will talk about the others during the short takeoff and landing lesson. Place your altitude, or ALT switch, in the radar, or RDR position. Make sure that your INS knob is in the IFA position to ensure a tightly coupled GPS and INS throughout your flight. Turn your approach light on. Next, we will begin our takeoff checklist, which consists of another series of finger checks, so named because they are signaled and confirmed with the fingers extended. The first check is a 1-finger configuration check, followed by either a 2-finger dry acceleration check or a 5-finger wet acceleration check. Conventional takeoffs, or CTOs, are typically used in high crosswind conditions or with asymmetric stores loaded on the aircraft that put it out of limitations for a short takeoff, or STOW, or rolling vertical takeoff, or RVTO. Begin 1-finger checks by pressing the VSTOL Master Mode button to colonize the ODU with VSTOL options. Select Nozzle Rotation Airspeed, or NRAS, with ODU button 1 and enter a value of 135 knots in the scratch pad. Confirm entry with the Enter button on the UFC. This will box the HUD airspeed indicator when the aircraft has reached the entered speed. Normally used to indicate when to rotate the nozzles, in a conventional takeoff we will use this as an indication to rotate the aircraft off the ground. Select Pitch Carrots or PC with ODU button 2 and verify a default setting of 14 degrees in the scratch pad and confirm with the Enter button. This sets the pitch carrots to 6 degrees above the horizon, where we will seek to place the depressed altitude indicator or Widget's hat for an accelerating transition into wingborne flight, or, in the case of a conventional takeoff, a positive rate of climb. Ensure the short takeoff or stow stop lever is stowed in its full aft position. Trim the stabilator to 2 degrees nose down. Set flaps to auto, observe 25 degrees in the flaps position indicator, and verify that no warning, caution, or advisory lights are illuminated. Set the nozzle lever to 50 degrees and verify that the engine display panel matches and that the flaps remain at 25 degrees with no droop light. Reset the nozzle lever to 10 degrees. We will not be using the VRS computer for rotation speed, as it does not calculate performance for conventional takeoffs. Request permission from tower to take the active runway.
Capoletti, Dodge 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Dodge 1-1. Capoletti, clear to taxi to runway 25.
When you receive the clearance, release the brakes and taxi onto the runway, steering the aircraft onto the runway center line.
Already. Dodge 1-1. Request takeoff. Dodge 1-1. Already? You are cleared for takeoff when ready. Climb 300 at QFE 29.86.
Apply the brakes to come to a stop with the aircraft nose pointed down the runway. From this position, we will conduct 2-finger accel checks and immediately transition into our takeoff roll. We will cover 5-finger wet acceleration checks in the FARP operations lesson. Begin dry acceleration checks by verifying that the stow stop is clear. Select Menu on the right AMPCD, push button 18, select Engine, that's ENG, on push button 11, and press Acceleration, or XL, on push button 16. Keep your wheel brakes pressed. Advance the throttle to just above 60%, then reduce power to maintain 60%. The aircraft will time how long it takes for the engine to spool between 35% and 60%. Verify that this value is between 2.4 and 3.1 seconds on the ENG page. Next, place the nozzles at 30 degrees and check that the duct pressure is between 45 and 47 psi. Once verified, place the nozzles back at 10 degrees. On the left MPCD, select EHSD with push button 2 or sensor select switch left. On the right MPCD, select FLIR with sensor select switch right. 2-finger checks are now complete. Initiate your takeoff. Engage nose wheel steering by holding the NWS switch on your stick. Keep your wheel brakes pressed. Advance the throttle to full power. Release the brakes before the tire skid. Verify top end RPM is achieved. Steer the aircraft for center line. You'll begin to have aerodynamic control of the rudder at 50 to 60 knots. At 135 knots, indicated by the box around your airspeed indicator, rotate with slight aft stick. Congratulations, you're airborne. As the aircraft leaves ground effect, apply forward stick to set and keep the winch's head indicator inside the pitch carrots, ensuring a positive rate of climb. Raise the landing gear by placing the landing gear handle in the up position. Nozzle out to 0 degrees by advancing the nozzle lever to fully forward. With nozzles aft, your duct pressure should read between 0 and 3 psi. Do not exceed 300 knots. Begin a gradual turn toward the range area. Check your VSTOL HUD to verify flaps and nozzles are set as desired, and when satisfied, select the Nav Master Mode button. The AV-8B Harrier climbs at a constant airspeed until the aircraft intercepts a specified Mach number, at which point, constant Mach climb is conducted. We begin our climb out when the aircraft approaches 300 knots calibrated airspeed. With the stick, pitch up to between 20 and 35 degrees to maintain 300 knots calibrated airspeed. Then, adjust your nose attitude to hold the airspeed until climb Mach is achieved. This usually happens between 25,000 and 27,000 feet. As you pass 10,000 feet MSL, check fuel transfer and quantity on the fuel panel and check that your cabin pressure is holding steady at 8,000 feet. As you pass 18,000 feet, set your altimeter to 29.92 via the knob on the standby altimeter and verify that the altimeter setting appears correct under the altitude box on the HUD. Check that the cabin pressure continues to read 8,000 feet until you climb above 23,000 feet. A Mach climb is based on aircraft drag index. In a clean configuration, your predicted Mach number should be approximately 0.75 Mach. Continue to adjust the nose attitude to maintain this Mach number. As you pass 29,000 MSL, reduce your rate of climb to 1,000 feet per minute or less. As you approach 30,000 MSL, level off by smoothly dropping the nose and bringing the velocity vector to the horizon. Reduce power to approximately 50 to 60 pounds per minute, ppm, reference on the engine display panel, or EDP. Reduce airspeed to achieve approximately 6.5 degrees AOA, your max range cruise angle of attack, reference on the HUD. To confirm your optimal cruise knots calibrated airspeed, or Mach number, on your right MPCD, choose Menu on push button 18, then VRES page, and select Cruise, or CRS, on push button 11. Good, now let's practice a max range descent to 12,000 MSL. This descent favors fuel economy over speed and would be useful with low on fuel to maximize the distance the aircraft can fly to get home. Reduce power to idle, ensure your flaps are in auto mode, keep the speed brake retracted, and maintain a pitch setting that will keep the aircraft at Mach 0.8. To level off from a max range descent, at 1,000 feet to go from your target altitude, or 13,000 MSL, reduce your rate of descent to 1,000 feet or less and smoothly transition to a target altitude of 12,000 MSL. Now that we've leveled off, let's conduct some basic handling drills. These drills are designed to familiarize you with the capabilities, limitations, and handling characteristics of the aircraft in various flight surface configurations and flight regimes. First drill is an energy maintaining turn, using full power at 360 knots calibrated airspeed. Advance the throttle and adjust your aircraft's pitch to maintain level flight at 360 knots calibrated airspeed. At 360 knots calibrated airspeed, advance the throttle to full power and bank left to capture an approximate 50-degree angle of bank. Once captured, apply smooth aft pressure on the stick to maintain 12,000 MSL and 360 knots calibrated airspeed. If your speed is dropping below 360 knots calibrated, release aft pressure. If your speed is increasing past 360 knots calibrated, apply more aft pressure. Note the rate of turn and the light buffet. This is an energy-maintaining turn that demonstrates the Harrier's sustained turn performance. When ready, release backstick pressure as you approach the current waypoint heading and roll to wings level. Reduce throttle and adjust pitch to maintain 360 knots calibrated airspeed.
Caution, caution.
Next, we will try that maneuver again, but with flaps in the cruise setting. Set the flap selector to the cruise position. Apply full power, and this time, bank in the other direction to capture 50 degrees angle of bank. When captured, apply aft pressure on the stick and continue to maintain 12,000 MSL and 360 knots calibrated airspeed. As you complete your turn, note the differences in sustained turn rate between automatic and cruise flap settings. Relax aft stick pressure as you approach the selected waypoint and then roll wings level.
Caution.
Next, we will conduct approach to stall drills. These drills demonstrate the aircraft's high AOA handling characteristics and how to recover from a stall. Maintain 12,000 MSL and bring the throttle to idle. Maintain level flight with smooth, gradual aft stick pressure and observe the aircraft AOA approach 17 to 18 units. At the onset of wing rock or buffet, release aft stick pressure to reduce AOA and then apply full power, monitoring side slip and correcting with the rudder. The goal is to reduce the AOA to within 10 to 12 units, and recovering back to 12,000 MSL. Note that if you apply full power prior to reducing AOA, it could cause the nose to pitch up, and cause an aircraft departure from controlled flight.
Power. Caution.
Reset the flaps to auto by placing the flap selector switch to the auto position. Let's try that again, but this time in a dirty configuration. At 12,000 MSL, slow the aircraft to below 250 knots calibrated airspeed and lower the landing gear by placing the landing gear lever in the down position. Establish and try to keep an airspeed that corresponds to 10 units of AOA. Continue to slow down to capture 15 units of AOA. At the onset of wing rock or buffet, again relax the aft stick pressure and apply full power, monitoring side slip and correcting with the rudder. Once 10 to 12 units of AOA are recaptured, raise the landing gear by placing the landing gear lever in the up position and continue to maintain 12,000 MSL and 360 knots calibrated airspeed. For the next descent, we'll practice a tactical descent to 7,000 MSL that favors speed and energy retention over fuel economy. You will reduce the power to 65%, ensure your flaps are in auto mode, keep the speed brake retracted, and maintain a pitch setting that will maintain Mach 0.8 or 350 knots calibrated, whichever is lower. You may begin your descent. At 1,000 feet to go, or 8,000 MSL, ensure your nose is no lower than 10 degrees, and smoothly transition into level flight at 7,000 MSL and 360 knots calibrated airspeed. Lastly, let's examine level and descending turn performance with nozzles configured for landing. This will demonstrate how the aircraft will behave in the landing pattern, and will set you up well for future lessons where we will cover short, rolling vertical, and vertical landings. Slow the aircraft to below 250 knots calibrated airspeed and lower the landing gear by placing the landing gear lever in the down position. Observe 4 green down and locked indications. Select VSTOL HUD Master Mode and set the nozzles to 25 degrees by pulling the nozzle lever aft to the appropriate setting. Take note of the AOA change on the HUD. Select STOL flaps by placing the flap selector switch in the STOL position. The stow light will illuminate. Slow the aircraft to 10 units of AOA and stabilize at 7,000 MSL. Practice some mild level turns. Next, set the nozzles to 50 degrees by pulling the nozzle lever aft to the appropriate setting and slow to 10 units of AOA. Note that as you decelerate through 165 knots calibrated airspeed, the flaps set themselves to 62 degrees, and the ailerons will droop, causing a nose-down pitch that may require aft stick pressure and additional power to compensate for. Add power as necessary to stabilize at 10 units of AOA, and practice both level and descending turns, simulating aircraft behavior in various portions of the landing pattern. When you finish practicing, press the spacebar to continue.
Привет, Осака. Мухарек прикольный. Много с ним повозиться сегодня не удалось. Вот фактически первый раз залетел. Смотрю, как управляется. Такая дикая помесь вертолета с самолетом. Как говорил когда-то один из адмиралов, универсальный корабль — это корабль, который многое умеет делать плохо и ничего хорошо. Посмотрим, что из себя представляет Харек.
Your return to level wing-borne flight is conducted by first setting full power and establishing a positive rate of climb. Raise the landing gear by placing the landing gear lever in the up position.
И брали.
Nozzle out to 25 degrees by pushing the nozzle lever forward to the appropriate setting. Select auto flaps by placing the flap selector switch in the auto position. Nozzle out to 0 degrees, ensuring all landing gear lights are extinguished, and reselect the nav HUD max mode. This concludes the takeoff and basic handling tutorial. Feel free to continue practicing. In the next lesson, we will cover the landing pattern, landing checklist, conventional landing, or CL, and post-landing checks.
Универсальность не всегда экономически выгоднее. Здесь ты не можешь поверить. Так, ну что, попробовать
If you
сесть
want to
на...
unlock the afterburning carrier mod, land your carrier into the side of the skyscraper without damaging your plane or the building. You're ready for it. Go for it. You can do it.
Ладно, хорошо, давай попробуем сесть. То есть теоретически я знаю, как это делается. Ну, практически сейчас попробуем. Место знакомое. Завтра я с вооружением попробую разобраться и хочу попробовать полетать на ту миссию, которая предназначена для 10-го, и сравнить его с 10-м. Скорости много, не теряет скорость.
Landing here. Landing.
Так, ну что? Вот это и вот это. Шасси выпущены, закрылки вниз. Что ему еще надо будет? Сопла потихонечку разворачиваем. Насколько я читал, у него вертикальное сопло 83 градуса. Так, все, сопло вертикально. Главное, с вертолетом не попутать, в какую сторону у него руль двигается. перепутал все-таки. Сопла 81 ушли. 82, 83. Вот так. Граунд эффект есть. Здорово. Ну, сейчас отвечу. Ну, в общем, не так уж и сложно, так, если с первого раза. Сейчас посмотрим еще, как это правильно делается, а не так, как получилось. Как рут инвертируется на вертикальных. Сейчас покажу. Так, где у меня оно? Зачем? Ну да, пусть будет так. Неважно. А, тут обычная посадка. Ну, ладно. Посмотрим на обычную посадку. Сейчас покажу настройки для Ми-8.
Generator.
Вот рычаг общего шага. В настройках оси просто ставишь флажочек конвертировать. После этого движение джойстика назад. Просто непривычная штука. Да, к этому нужно привыкнуть. Там история в следующем. Если его поставить... Ну вот, допустим, он у тебя, если на столе стоит, если его поставить немного назад и вниз, я не знаю, на табуретку рядом, и немножко наклонить, то вот это вот движение, когда ты поднимаешь на себя вертолет, как будто тянешь его на себя, за шкирку на себя, да, оно становится естественным. А так, если его оставить в том же положении, то потом начинаешь путаться. Вот я иногда путаюсь. Мне просто лень. У меня когда-то раньше, давно, когда летал еще на вертолетах, ну так более-менее, когда еще акула была, то у меня было так сделано. То есть для того, чтобы летать на вертолете, я просто переставлял его на тумбочку рядом, в наклоненном положении. И тогда было удобно. А так, да, вот у меня сейчас вертолетные навыки сработали. Ты видел, да? потому что после касания попытался убрать шаг винта в ноль.
Generally only used if there is a suspected failure of the reaction control system. The airplane was not intended to be routinely operated this way. Poor ground stability characteristics of the AV-8B make the CL a less than optimal choice for most conditions. We'll begin this lesson with an overhead brake. The overhead brake allows you to get an entire portion of it on the ground as quickly as possible, and therefore is the standard landing procedure for most fighter jets. You will have an opportunity to do it 3 times during this. Remember, it takes time to learn how to do it properly. We are currently flying towards Kapolani Airport, which is runway 1 at an altitude of 15,000 feet in the south. Once ready, we'll descend to the pattern altitude of the overhead brake, which is 800 feet AGL, before a touch and go and repeat the procedure twice. The third landing gear will stop. Let me know when you are ready to start with some basic information and instructions.
Ну, рад, если чем-то был полезен. Ну, вроде обычный оверхит выполняется. Посмотрим. Ага. Шасси у него слабенькое.
Maximum speed at which you can deploy your landing gear or fly with the landing gear down is 250 knots. The maximum speed on the ground is 180 knots, so you'll want to be slower than that during landing. Also, remember that the air brake is not available when the landing gear is down.
Отлично.
Finally, a word on crosswinds. The carrier does not tolerate strong crosswinds during landing and straight placement. All the numbers I will give you are for the main runway with minimum width of 100 feet. The runway is wet, down to 5 knots for the vehicles. The limits are as follows. For the approach speed equal to or above 140 knots, the maximum crosswind is 20 knots during the day and 15 knots at night.
Узлов, 15 узлов ночью, боковой.
The approach speed below 140 knots, the maximum crosswind is 15 knots during the day and 10 knots at night.
Ну, такие же ограничения, ладно.
Additionally,
нет,
if the
меньше.
approach wind is above 19,550 pounds, all the crosswind values I just gave you should be reduced by a further 10 knots.
Понятно. Вычитаем и вычитаем на скорости.
It is possible to land with stronger crosswinds, and it has been done before, notably by our forces operating in Afghanistan. Still, try to avoid it if possible. Now with all that out of the way, we are almost ready to
Хорошо, будем избегать.
Before we do, there is a short checklist that you need to go through. Ready?
Ну, чек-лист так чек-лист.
First, make sure that the stove stop is in gear position.
Есть такое.
Next, verify the weather information of the AV-8B is from the tower. Pay special attention to the wind speed and direction, as well as the cloud ceiling and visibility. Taking all that into account, you will decide at this point on a suitable type of approach landing. In this case, we already know that we will go for an overhead brake into a conventional landing.
Ну, просто
Next,
по-разному
prepare your
будем
engines.
узнавать.
Save your steer point to home plane, which is waypoint 1.
У меня единичка стоит. Вообще так тоже все знакомо, потому что тут
Set up your TCAM.
такая помесь.
Press the TCAM or DCS button on your UFC and use the keypad to enter the show. 6, 7. Press enter or ENT when ready.
Помесь FA-18 и А-10. стоит. Чуть еще надо.
Verify the top left corner of your left-hand PCB and using a bearing, distance, and time to select the take image. It should be showing around 0.68 degrees.
Да, дальность есть. Такан вроде видит. А, это waypoint. Если такан. Ну, 68, да, есть, все нормально. Похоже.
Make sure that the waypoint text is
Логика похожая.
If it is, go ahead and press the button left. We will now set the approach course probability corresponding with the magnetic heading of the runway bearing continues. We will land on runway 07 and the correct value for it is 06. Turn the course select on and watch the data in the bottom right corner of the MPCB change.
Ну, 64. Так, waypoint и курс. Так, а как оно работает? А, вот, не увидел. Ну, 64. Есть, готово.
In order to have a better view, press the button 20 to change the scale to 25. You should notice a line here at the top right-hand screen. This line is the course of the intercept. Turn toward it, fly straight to or above it, and turn heading 06. Perform correctly, both the bearing in the top right corner of the screen and the current heading in the middle of the screen should display the same value. The line should be directly under your planes.
Чего это он должен перехватить? Так мы практически с прямой заходим. Зачем все это надо? На верхней части. А, ну понятно, сейчас текущий курс 69, должен быть 64. Ну, тут разница в 3 градуса.
Configure your nav clear and HUD as desired depending on the time of weather. If the airport you are flying to is much higher than the mean sea level, you may want to switch your radar altimeter to display on your HUD. However, since top-level elevation is within 59 feet MSL, you'll do that at a later stage.
Так, рейдер альтиметр, где он тут был-то? А, понял, хорошо. Это я прослушал, чтобы позднее.
Check your fuel for any asymmetries. These are greater than 300 pounds, balance both fuel tanks. Also, you may want to reset bingo bug to a previous setting, but we won't be touching it for now.
$200, без баланса нет. Бинго тоже нет.
If the temperature on the ground will be different than what you get at your standard cruising altitude, turn your cabin temperature control knob to maximum in order to preheat the cockpit, and put the defog switch to max position.
Максимум.
maximum speed at which you can deploy your landing gear or fly with the landing gear down is 250 knots. The maximum speed on the ground is 180 knots, so you'll want to be slower than that during landing. Also, remember that the air brake is not available when the landing gear is down. Okay, time to contact Cabo Landing Tower. Set one of your radios to 133.0 and inform the airport that you are inbound. Note down the QFD altimeter value given to you by the pilot.
Какой 133?
Dodge 1-1, inbound.
Может быть, не Батуми?
Dodge 1-1, inbound.
As you pass 5,000 feet MSL, set the QFD on the altimeter as instructed by the tower.
29.
Also, switch your nav and anti-collision lights to on and set your landing light to approach. While you descend, let's go through the game plan and the rest of the sortie. I'll do the overview now, as once you begin to brake, there won't be much time to go into detail. Ready? As has been mentioned before, we will perform an overhead brake. That means that you will arrive over the runway flying at 850 AGL and with a speed of 350 knot indicated airspeed. Once the end of the runway disappears from your view beneath the nose of the aircraft, you will make a 4G level turn to your right, reduce throttle and idle, and intercept 10 units AOA. You will hold that turn for 180 degrees to are flying alongside of the runway but in the opposite direction, or 244 degrees magnetic. This part is called the downwind leg. You'll want to exit the turn at or below 250 knots and then descend to around 600 feet AGL. Once there, you will stay in level flight and perform the following landing checklist. Lower the landing gear, keep flaps in auto mode, check that the stow stop is clear and stowed aft, check for positive duct pressure, check that the brake pressure is 2700 psi with pedals depressed, and make sure that the water switch is set and required for landing performance. Drive to between 1.3 and 1.5 feet, which means around half the length of the runway beyond the starting point. Make sure that the nozzle is comfortably aft at 0 degrees and recheck that your flaps are at the bottom. Also, it is advised to alright, 4G, right turn, reduce throttle, intercept, and keep 10 units, level off and run parallel to the runway.
Чуть подальше пройду.
Then turn towards the runway. For reference, use the two small lakes near the airport. You want to almost get to them. You will want to control the descent with your stick and the AOA move. Throughout the turn, you will be extending to an intercept approximately 500 feet AGL after you do the turn to 90 and 200 feet AGL when you're well at the final groove. Try to keep AOA between 10 and 12 minutes and keep the speed below 180 knots. Don't go too slow. If you do, your AOA will get high. Finding the sweet spot here is the tube curve.
шасси
At
закрыл,
around
пускай
50 feet
я
AGL, place
прозевал.
the witch's hat at 2 degrees above the horizon. Continue to control your rate of descent with the throttle and attitude of the stick. And maintain to bogey as the main away. On a full stop landing, at touchdown you would set the throttle to idle. Make sure that you're rolling straight with the pedal neutralized before engaging the steering. You would then set the nozzles for power nozzle braking, P and B, trim for 2 degrees nose down and set the throttle to 70%. However, as this would be a touch and go landing, immediately after touchdown, I want you to increase the throttle to full and allow the aircraft to take off again. That's about it. I will now let you focus on your approach. Be sure to align your aircraft with the course line, right over the runway at 800 feet and 350 knots, and fly straight until I tell you to turn. I will then be giving you abbreviated instructions. Good. Descend to 600 feet. Stay below 250 knots indicated. Fly straight. Landing checklist. Gear down. Flaps auto. Relative brake pressure checks good. Water not required. Nozzles out. Warning and caution lights are out. Also set the master mode to diesel and switch to radar on.
Это нормальный заход. Ну, в общем, он достаточно простой и понятный. Просто мне непонятно, чего он тут от меня хочет. Можно зайти, как советская школа требует.
Well done. You are within the approach parameters.
То есть нужно было точно над полосой пройти. Офигеть. Зачем?
All right, 4G, right turn, reduce throttle, intercept, and keep 10 units, level off and running parallel to the runway.
Landing,
Все, шасси выпускаем.
landing gear.
И снижаемся до 600. Мне же больше ничего не надо. Закрылки в автомате. Так, 600 футов. Полосу прошли, разворот. Градусов держим.
Power.
Высоко не надо. Скорость великовата. Так, во сколько он тут тормозить-то начинает? Меньше 100. А, там же он еще этими тормозит. Я про них совсем забыл. А я зачем остановился-то? Он же просил 2 раза конвейером пройти. Это я был неправ. Ну да ладно, в общем, пока все как бы удобно и комфортно, никаких особых сложностей этот самолет не вызывает, ну, в плане именно пилотажа. Сделан красиво, вот. Говорят, что, конечно, тут у него много чего не доделано, но просто я мало времени, совсем мало времени в нем провел, и сама по себе разработка не слишком быстро у них продвигается, но, видимо, это просто касается каких-то систем вооружения, которых я не касаюсь пока. Ну а так летает, но летает как самолет. Висит, ну, честно говоря, даже на 8-ке висеть сложнее, не говоря уж про Хьюи. Заход на вертикальное висение вот с нуля абсолютно просто понятен. Так что, ну вот пока вполне положительное впечатление. Ну, то есть, как положительное? Все хорошо. Вот, но ничего такого там ощущения вау нету. А так, ну сравню его еще в плане штурмовки с А-10, если успею разобраться с оружием. Ну и кому захочется вот таких вот особенностей, фишек, вроде вертикального взлета посадки, ну, вполне прилично все. Мне пока все понравилось. Вот, так что завтра, если что, немножко экшена будет, а не просто таких вот полетов. Ну, как обычно, да, я первый день там знакомлюсь с самолетом, а потом уже начинаю там, что-то из него выжимать. Ну, что успеваю. Так что спасибо, Осака, что зашел. Заходи завтра, если успею, завтра повоюем.